Welcome to your 80s Archives review for this week. Doing a collab with Jennifer Toshi. She picked a movie this week. She picked Two of a Kind. This film gets a 4.7 in IMDb. It came out in 1983 and is approximately 1 hour and 28 minutes for this feature-length motion picture starring Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta. Now, I know you know who they are, so let's talk about Two of a Kind. I don't mean the Garth Brooks song. So the film starts off with John Travolta's character, who basically he's a con artist. You know, he got in some trouble with some gambling debts. Now the bookies are trying to get the money back. It's like 14 G's. And he's got to find a way to do that. But primarily the biggest thing is that he's an inventor. So I'm assuming he's using some of that money for his inventions, which are failing miserably. So to find another way to pay back those debts, he decides to rob a bank. And this is what he looks like when he robs the bank. So now we follow Zach, who is John Travolta's character. Goes into the bank he hands over a bag previously when he went in there. And Debbie, played by Olivia Newton-John, ends up kind of giving him the money, but not really giving him the money. She's actually a bank teller, a person that's trying to learn how to be an actor, but is also a thief. So she finds a way to keep the money and not give it to him. So now Zach is in a lot of trouble. I should also mention the purpose of this film is that God is very upset with the world and how it's turned out and how the humans are treating each other. So he's wanting to destroy the world and end it, but these four angels are like, look, let's make a deal. If we could find two people that are good human beings, will you hold off on destroying the world? And he agrees to it. Meanwhile, these people are going after Zach, who is like I said, he's a con artist, and he's got all these gambling debts. So they're after him during the course of all this, after she's now taken the money. So at this point, it's kind of like a wild goose chase. He's trying to find her. They're after him, and eventually that ends up at this restaurant where this huge food fight goes down, which I thought was hysterical. Meanwhile, she's back at her apartment, which she kind of knew about her earlier stages of the film. I won't get into how he knew about her, but he eventually ends up finding her at her apartment, and she's used some of the money now to pay her rent and whatnot. So basically, they're both kind of on the run now, and they're both kind of down on the luck, but they're trying to make it work after this huge food fight that broke out. And like I said, that was one of my favorite scenes. So now they start to get to know each other a little bit now that he's at her apartment. And while, she invites him in and whatnot to stay with her, they start kind of falling in for each other a little bit. As you can see, there's harmless flirtation throughout the film. And at that point, now they've got trouble. They've got trouble on their minds and things, and they're also falling in love at the same time, so it's just kind of an awkward exchange for these two. So finally, they decide to have the nightcap, which everybody was waiting for, I'm sure. But things don't necessarily end up that way, that night. So I'll let you use your imagination. You can probably already see kind of what happens at the end of the film. And as far as my thoughts on Two of a Kind, if you are a fan of Olivia Newton-John and John Travolta, check it out. You definitely get to see them dance and do what they do. I would have flipped the roles, though. I would have made her the inventor and him the bank teller. I just thought it would have bin funnier. I wanted more comedy from it. It was a little slower. The pacing was okay for it, but it was enjoyable. If I have to give it a rating of Boglins, it would be a 2.5 out of 5. Not saying it's necessarily bad, but not necessarily saying it's the greatest thing in the world. This movie does get a bit of flop and a lot of heat from people on IMDb. And, sometimes they're all not going to be gems, but, I enjoyed it. It's definitely worth one watch. Like I said, 2.5. But if you are a fan of these two, definitely check this movie out. I think you will like it. The soundtrack is really good. I actually got a lot of rewards and awards for the soundtrack alone. But thanks for watching the 80s Archives. See us next week. See what we do on the 80s Archive.